Really excited to tell you about Jewell Parker Rhodes' Ghost Boys. This is just an extremely important book. It is a powerful book. It's a timely book. It's a book that I feel so lucky to share with kids. I'm so happy that this book exists. Are you ready? Let's talk about Ghost Boys. Let's go. So you're seeing here the advanced reader copy of Ghost Boys. It has a totally different cover. It is a red cover. I will put that cover here. And it is, it's a book about a 12-year-old boy named Jerome. And Jerome is killed by a police officer. He is shot 2 times. He was playing with a toy gun when cops came and shot him, and he died there on the scene. And the book is interesting because you don't kind of know all of his story. It starts with him being killed, and then it kind of goes back, and you get that story of how he ended up being where he was playing with the toy gun. That you get that story throughout the book, but you also get the story of him now as a ghost boy. And a ghost boy is a black boy who was killed unjustly by a police officer. And kind of like the leader of the Ghost Boys, you find out, is Emmett Till, whose story we all know, and we all hopefully continue to be haunted by stories like that. Ghost Boys is a book that I think kids everywhere need to read, and kids everywhere need to discuss. And this book belongs in every school, classroom, library. It's not an easy read in terms of, it's just sad that these things are happening, and it's awful that boys like Jerome exist in real life. And I think that the more we can talk about these things, and the more these things keep coming up in children's literature, and they really do, I think that this stuff is really important. And I'm so thankful that people like Jewell Parker Rhodes, people like Angie Thomas are writing about these books, and kids are getting a chance to talk about hard things and talk about these types of awful issues that are happening in our world. And I've been thinking, like, I had no clue that any of this stuff was happening when I was a child. And I'm sure that it was. I mean, it was. And now through children's literature, the kids of tomorrow's adulthood will have a chance to read these books, and they'll have a chance to have these discussions and be more aware of these situations. So I'm just so thankful to everyone who's talking about hard things, who is writing about hard things, and for all the educators who are getting these books and finding a way to get these books into the hands of readers. I had a student devour this book, and it's a student who hasn't devoured many books this year, but he read it in a day and a half, and he was a little confused at a couple parts, and I was able to sit down and have some really interesting and important conversations with him. And I'm so thankful that Jewell wrote a book that allowed me a gateway to have this conversation with a student. Ghost Boys is a book that all educators are going to want to have in their classroom, their school, and their public libraries. Like, we want this book everywhere. It is also a book that I highly recommend that educators read. Like, you need to read the story. You need to see the love and the heart and the anger and frustration that Jewell put on the page. It's really an important book, and I'm a better man because I have read it, and hopefully it will help me to be a better teacher. I was talking with my 10-year-old son last night, and they were talking about when they're in 8th grade, they get to go on a field trip to Washington, D.C. And they were like, man, when I go to Washington, D.C., we'll have a different president. And I was thinking, oh, like, that is possible that we will have a different president in the 4 years when you go to Washington, D.C. And then I was also thinking, like, there's only one more election that my students don't vote in. There's only one more presidential election that today's 5th graders don't vote in, because after that they will be able to vote. And I just can't stop thinking about kids that are growing up reading books like this. Like, what an impact they will have when they become adults. Because I'm seeing the impact they're having on each other as kids, and just gives me a lot of hope. So if you're looking for a wonderful, wonderful book that is important, and it will haunt you, but it will change you, give Ghost Boys a read. I'll put some links down below if you'd like to buy it from IndieBound or from Amazon or from anywhere else. Click those links below, and you can have this amazing book, and it will change the lives of readers, and we know that that's how we change our world. Have a wonderful day and happy, happy reading.